Yeah, for sure. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Tangent Podcast, episode 185 for the week of September 24th, 2018. I'm your host, Brian Thomas, alongside the Beacon of Light, Anthony Salvatore.
Hello.
And God Mike himself back there, Stephen Sal.
Hello.
And tonight, we are the Blues Brothers. I don't know if you've noticed this. Audio listeners, you can't see, and I'm sorry, but Anthony and I are both wearing pretty
Vibrant
much the exact same shade of blue. And
It's good blue.
So I'm John Belushi, and I'm dead, and you can be Dan Aykroyd. I don't know the Blues Brothers at all whatsoever. And we're going to get into
I want
this.
to be Dan Aykroyd.
You can be Dan Aykroyd. All right, you know what? You're Bill Murray from Ghostbusters. Does that work?
I'll take Bill Murray.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And we're this podcast for the site pixelatedpoints.com, where we talk about the games that we've been playing during the week, and we talk about the news. Usually we do Under Your Thumb and the Drunken News, but tonight we're going to do something a little different. We're just going to try and have a genuine conversation about gaming news and what we've been playing.
So the listener,
we're just gonna take this for a walk, see where it goes, and find ourselves.
Hopefully, we don't get sprayed by a skunk.
Hopefully, we don't get fucking sprayed by a skunk like my goddamn dog. Literally, right as we were about to start this podcast.
Yeah, how's your week been, Brian? Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do
what
that.
We're
It's
doing?
great up until
Let's
that
actually
moment.
do that because my week kind of sucked ass.
Whoa! Back it up.
Yep.
You did get something.
Well, I did get something. So I got this new iPhone XS or 10s, which is great. Don't get me wrong, it's fun. It's fun to use. But my phone, my iPhone 6, shit the bed from Wednesday night to Thursday night, right? So now I have to pay an exorbitant amount of money for this piece of technology, which I'm very happy to have.
Yesterday's shit. I know it.
But yeah, I was without a phone for a day, and as a millennial, that's like a fucking eternity. And so I had to buy a new phone today, and it took over 2 hours to get it going. And then my dog got sprayed by a skunk.
So Friday was a bad day.
No. Well, Friday was a bad day. Thursday was a bad day, too. But yeah, that's my week, Steve and God Mike.
Wow.
How about your week?
We don't need to talk about that.
All right, fair enough. Anthony, you got
Wow.
anything? Anthony, how you feeling in here, in your heart piece?
I'm feeling good. Why? Something happened
No, just wondering.
in my heart?
Yeah,
Feeling great.
Anthony, what have you been up to? Tell me a little bit about video. Well, this is a video game podcast for those of you that are still with us, and I apologize if you're not. But Anthony,
Right.
what have you been playing? What have you been doing? What have you been up to?
I know it's what you want to hear. I know it's what everyone wants to hear. You know what I've been playing.
I know. I think I know what you've been playing. You've been playing. Is it the? What are you talking about?
Oh, I was gonna say Spider-Man.
Okay,
but
yeah, we're talking about Spider-Man. Anthony and I, we have both finished it.
we did.
We've got an unboxing video coming up on our YouTube channel over on youtube.com/pixelatedpoints that you can see that. But we also, more importantly, are going to be recording a spoiler cast at some point next weekend. I think we're going to try and get a special guest, and we're going to talk a little bit about Spider-Man. But very quickly, do you rank it Game of the Year or like in the running for it?
I mean, I got to hold off because the end of the year is also pretty
hefty.
Yeah.
Well, do you think it's the best game so far? Because me personally, I still think God of War is the better.
I like it better than God of War. I can see both sides. Actually, I didn't actually finish it.
God of War?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll hold off on that. There are a few things with Spider-Man that might not make it that kind of tier.
Fair enough. I agree.
But it's definitely top 5.
Yeah, definitely top 5 for me. But yeah, all right, cool.
But we'll hold off on that.
We'll hold off on that until next week, and we can actually have a full-blown conversation with spoilers and all that jazz. But what else have you been playing this week?
So I beat that earlier on in the week, and then I moved on to The Long Dark.
So what is this game? So
It's a survival game.
is it a survival game, or is it like Firewatch survival?
No, like actual survival. Depending. So they do have a story mode, and it's designed to teach you some of the basic elements of their survival aspect. This was a recommendation from someone at work. The game is actually, like, if you go onto the playing survival mode to start out, he said it's extremely difficult.
Okay, so this friend of yours.
Yes.
Friend of yours.
Yeah, he's imaginary.
Yeah, imaginary. He tells you to buy The Long Dark.
He did.
And then he tells you, don't go into survival mode
Don't-
right away.
yeah,
Do
learn-
the single player so that way it
You
kind
can.
of.
You said it's pretty difficult on the regular survival mode, so you learn everything from the story mode.
Gotcha.
And it also gives. So I did that, but the story for it is kind of like a generic. It's a Firewatch type.
Okay, is there something going on here?
So you are a pilot, and your like wife comes to you. She needs you to fly a plane into the Canadian wilderness to deliver something that she can't tell them.
Okay.
I think it's a kind of a cheesy, like dialogue between the two of them
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of it, because it's that whole like romantic story, but not romantic, and the plane crashes, and like when it hits full survival, it's fantastic.
Okay. Steve, can you do me a favor? Can you YouTube The Long Dark and bring up some gameplay footage for us here?
Absolutely.
Thanks, sweet cheeks. So,
Wow.
game's not the greatest looking game, but it's stylized, so you can kind of,
If you see the story wise, it's like a claymation. You like when you see the characters in first person when they do the story, it's like it's a claymation type thing.
Okay, I'm a big fan of that. I'm cool with that.
So they kind of like I said, and then they stylize the actual survival aspect of it. It is limited, so it doesn't give you different scenarios. It gives you like the Canadian wilderness, which most people would kind of know what to expect with a survival game.
Well, Anthony, let me just pretend that I am from Brazil.
Right.
And I've never seen the Canadian wilderness before. What does the Canadian wilderness look like?
Snow.
And I should probably mention that I understand that people in Brazil
Probably.
read books and have the internet and stuff. I just meant like if I was from another part of the world and
Dumb.
have never seen Canada. It's all snow, and it's not dark out here. It's light out. What's happening there?
It said the long dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be the nights might be longer. No, it's just when night happens, like it is a different element of like.
Is there some sort of like spooky things happening?
No, it's just it's with like people explain like if you go to you ever read Into the Wild? It's like the nights are brutal because like it is an actual like survival aspect where
Did
like
you just ask me if I've ever been out in the wild?
it's the name of a book
Oh,
Into the
sorry.
Wild?
I was like, no, I've never been.
where the
in
kid goes to like Alaska thinking like he can survive, and then like it's like the reality of like oh shit, like this is a lot more.
Okay, it's okay. So
So
this is it a difficult game, Anthony?
like at the moment, no, I dubbed it down to like the lowest difficulty, so that way I could kind of like really
Enjoy it.
get the bearings, because I can see where like
This would be really fucking hard.
because it's a micromanage of like your clothes get wet,
You have to take off your clothes.
or repair them, so you have to break down cloth. Cloth takes time to like it tells you the time to actually break stuff down, and if you do this out in the wilderness, it also gives you like you also feel the cold, so your temperature body will decrease when that time passes, and you also like feel the effects of being out in the cold, like so you'll get frostbite if you decide like so.
If you're out there for too long, you're getting frostbite.
In frostbite, it's a degrading of like obviously fire is the key element where you have to be hydrated, and then like certain foods that you eat also take. So like beef jerky is big in Canada, but it's also salty.
So you got to have some water.
So like correct. So but there it doesn't rain, it's snow. So you have to build the fire to melt the snow, and you have to it takes time to do this.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Anthony. This seems very involved.
But it feels like one of the most like realistic survival like games. Like I haven't played Don't Starve, but I know like when you explained Kona, I know what like Shelters is another one, but it's definitely like it'll give you the best aspect of I guess the Canadian wilderness. Although it does tell you in the beginning of the game not a realistic interpretation of survival.
Fair enough.
Just in case someone actually does.
Someone's like, "Hey, wait, I did really well in The Long Dark. I can handle this."
But like I said, the reason why I'd be like at night, like temperature drops drastically and windstorms like pick up. So it's like your torch, you can't light the torch in the night. Frostbite, you like you see in the bottom if you're listening.
Yeah.
It's like your temperature body degrades extremely quickly.
Well, this is a side tangent, and that's what we do here on the tangent. I don't know if you saw this piece of news from IGN. That I guess it's kind of all around, but IGN is where I saw it, and apparently in Red Dead Redemption 2, the horse testicles is a big thing that's happening right now.
Like the realistic horse testicles.
Yes, so people were invited to play the first 2 hours, I think, of Red Dead Redemption, and somebody had asked one of the developers if the horse testicles were animated because they were just out and prevalent. They were there. And the developer responds with, not only are they animated, but they will expand and contract depending on the temperature outside. So your horse can have low-hanging fruit in the desert and then have little grapes at night when it's cold. And
That's pretty realistic.
that's pretty realistic to me. If that's what you're going to have in your video game,
Game of the year, realistic
game of the year,
testicles.
realistic testicles, we're going to have a ball of a time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I've read that it's going to be a nice little package.
Yeah.
Could be game of the year.
Could be game of the year. Anyway, sorry, Anthony.
No.
I didn't mean to go full on testicle tangent.
That's complete micromanagement right there.
Or it could be macro management. Who knows?
Yeah, one or the other. But that
You
is
ever
a good.
talking about, Steve?
Oh my God.
Big packages, small packages. You don't know what a horse is
Am I
carrying.
talking to Justin? I don't understand.
I haven't been
jokes.
talking to these are first off
These are texts.
these are gold. These are classic. You see, Justin's genius knows no bounds, but you can make people laugh with dick jokes or testicle jokes.
It's
those
never
are the-
bad. I mean,
Best form of comedy.
But anyways, so Anthony, are you enjoying this game?
I am. Yeah.
The
I-
Long Dark, not Red Dead Redemption Horse.
Yeah. I mean, I might. You never know.
Yeah, okay, but you're enjoying it so far.
Yeah. Like I said, it does an absolutely fantastic job of just like that survival aspect of like things you never thought of that do play a part in like surviving. Really.
Okay.
I haven't found it like difficult. Like I said, I know I'm on the story mode for this,
Mm-hmm.
but
Have you died yet?
no,
Okay.
I don't know if you can. Usually I do push that to the limit. But at this point, like I said, I've gotten pretty sick. The health had dropped pretty low, but it still gives you like a good bearing of like single player survival. It's like how to make it.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't kind of just like throw you out there and tell you.
It slowly starts work. So there's a story mode, and then once you finish the story mode, you can kind of do like a survive as long as you can mode.
You can go straight into survival, yeah, and it's pretty much just survive as long as you can out in the
Gotcha.
wilderness. I figured, like I said, knowing the bearing, like a lot of the only downsides to this is like when you make a mistake, especially like when you feel it, even in single player. I accidentally threw the torch into the fire,
Oh.
and like you lost the torch, and you can't
Right.
make another one because you have to go to like a bench to kind of compile the materials.
And then if you find a bench, that doesn't necessarily mean you have the materials to do so.
At the time. So
annoying.
I was lighting matches, and then like obviously I'm like, well, I'm wasting my matches. So like your day, like I said, even for Canadian, like the daylight is actually shorter than
The night.
the night. So they do give, like I said, just the realistic properties of the game. I've just been pretty fucking good.
Nice. What else have you been? Have you been playing anything else?
It's all been playing
Yeah. I noticed that you sent in a piece of news this week
about Wolfenstein 3.
about Wolfenstein 3. So this comes from Christopher Schummer over at GameRant.com. Wolfenstein 3 is absolutely being made by Bethesda. So in a recent interview with Metro, Bethesda VP Pete Hines confirmed that there will be, in fact, a third mainline Wolfenstein title coming sometime in the future. There was some worry following the release of Wolfenstein 2 last holiday season as it relatively quickly price drop and thought was caused by poor sales of the game. Here's what Hines had to say when asked about the potential for Wolfenstein 3. Quote, "Yeah, sure, we're absolutely making a Wolfenstein 3. They said that on stage that they're taking a break from the larger story to do this thing," and I'm imagining he's talking about the DLC with it's like the Wolfenstein 2 DLC.
Oh,
where
the
it's
three
like
characters.
his 2 daughters or something like that. Oh wait, no, it's like a
A 3-part. It's 3 different characters.
well, that was the DLC.
This-
Sorry, so there's like a spin-off
oh, he's doing.
where
Oh,
it's like BJ Blazkowicz's 2 daughters.
oh, really?
Yeah.
It's-
So, but to finish that, we've all had to see how that ends. So it seems like Wolfenstein 3 is being made, which is great. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Wolfenstein 1. I thought Wolfenstein 2 was very disappointing in my eyes.
I think it should. Like I said, they said the sales were relatively poor for 2.
Two.
So I think generally people probably felt the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I played through it, and my biggest issue was it was so over the top, and you had these choices that were choices, but it was really like, if you chose to be the brute, you could run through this wall.
So it's the
If
same
you cho-
outcome.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't like Dishonored where you can choose different paths. It was, here's a wall that you have to, or here's a barrier. You can either run through the wall, you can crawl underneath it, or you can jump over it. It's like, that's not really
Yeah, it's like
not really changing up the gameplay. It was more of just, here it is.
different
Here's a
skill set.
barrier. Here's a skill that you can use. It wasn't very, in my mind,
Did-
it wasn't very well executed.
No, like you said, Dishonored does it well with like just how you get into buildings. It's just like you can go through the front door, you can go and like say guns blazing,
A side window. Like, you can. There's so many different things that you can do.
where the options could have been. It could have been that for Wolfenstein 2, and then
Mhm.
instead disappointed on kind of that end.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, will I buy Wolfenstein 3? For sure. Will I buy this new two-play or the?
I said Switch sales were pretty good.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think people are itching for third-party games on the Switch. But I mean, like, would you buy Wolfenstein 3?
I didn't buy. Actually, I did buy 2. Didn't play 2. Would I
Mhm.
buy? Maybe. I do like the animations anyway,
Mhm.
and I do like
BJ.
yeah.
BJ's
killing
awesome.
Nazis is kind of.
Yeah. Killing Nazis.
I actually didn't play the first one. I only played the DLC.
Yeah. Wait. You didn't play Wolfenstein
I played. Remember the problem was
You played the Old Blood,
Old Blood.
and not the New Order.
I like started it and then didn't finish.
You should really just actually, you know.
I love the Old Blood.
Well, if you love the Old Blood, the New Order was way better, in my
Wait.
opinion.
Was the Old Blood better than Wolfenstein 2?
Story wise, yes.
Oh, all right.
Gameplay wise, maybe yes. I don't know. I would
Oh,
say Wolfenstein, the New Blood, or the New Order, Old Blood, Wolfenstein 2 so far.
Got ya.
I was just really not a fan of Wolfenstein 2, but you know what I am a fan of, Anthony?
Go on.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So, Shadow
I
of the
know.
Tomb Raider came out last Friday.
Yes.
It came out September 14th, and I've played maybe about 3 hours of it. So,
It's like Spider-Man's been.
Spider-Man, I finished Spider-Man on like Tuesday or Wednesday or something, and I bought this game last Friday, and it didn't get open because guess what? Spider-Man fucking took over my life. So Rise of the Tomb Raider is the sequel to the Tomb Raider reboot, and then Rise of the Tomb Raider, and now it's Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And
Brian,
yeah.
is it? Should I buy this?
So here's what I'm going to tell you. Do you like Uncharted games?
That's a no.
Okay, so if you don't like Uncharted
I
games,
liked one. I'm just kidding.
have you ever played the
Yeah.
Uncharted games?
Yeah.
Do you actually not like them? Because if you don't like them, then I wouldn't recommend this game.
Not actually. I actually have not completed one, so I'll tell you that.
I would say that one, it's a bad hit. Two, you should probably play
Uncharted 3.
Uncharted 2 and then 4.
Perspective is actually 4 would be the one I would have.
What's wrong with 3?
Nothing's wrong with 3.
I knew
4 is the best. 2's the second best. 3, Golden Abyss, and then 1.
4 is the best? you
4
think?
is the best in my opinion. Although that could change literally tomorrow. 2 and 4 are interchangeable.
Oh.
They're great.
All
They're
right.
absolutely stunning. But anyways,
Yeah,
back
go
to
to-
Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So I've played
Other two.
I played the other two. I love the first one. I thought that the progression of Laura's character and her becoming the Tomb Raider was just so well told. And this was in between, Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4. So it was, you had Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 to kind of base this new Tomb Raider off of, which Uncharted 1 through 3 was based off of the original Tomb Raider. So everything is just kind of taking from each other.
It's building on top of it.
Yeah, so you have this great game, and then Rise of the Tomb Raider that came out in 2015 I thought was great, but it didn't really...
Wasn't the next.
The story didn't progress characters like that first game did, the reboot
Which
And-
just to be kind of, I guess, expected.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like it focused. It was weird because number one, or I should just say, Tomb Raider 2013 focused on Laura surviving an island that she crashed onto, and she became the Tomb Raider. And then the second game, she is trying to stop this evil organization called Trinity, right? And so it's like her fighting.
It's a shadow.
It's like a shadow organization. So she's fighting soldiers, really. But in the first one, she's surviving. She's fighting mercenaries that are just happen to be in the jungle looking for the same things that she's looking for. So it's kind of more of like an Indiana Jones,
it's like sneaking. Yeah.
sneaking around. The second one was more action orientated, and this one is seemingly right in the middle there, right? So the main bad guy seemingly runs Trinity, and he's the overarching villain so far that I've seen. But the main game that I've played so far, about the 3 or 4 hours that I've played, it's mostly just her exploring tombs, running away from falling boulders,
So this is
trying not
Indiana
to die.
Jones, yeah.
It's a little bit more of a Indiana Jones, Uncharted,
Right,
just
yeah.
pulp action film. And I'm absolutely loving it. One, it looks fantastic. Two, there's a photo mode, so check out my Twitter. It's a me BT because I am just fucking tweeting these out left and right. What else do we got for Shadow of the Tomb Raider here? What I just like, I don't want to.
I know one of the big things was like killing the animals or crafting. I think.
So there's lots of still basic hunting and crafting things like that. So you still have your skill tree. You still have upgrading your weapons, finding new clothes that then will give you like a little boost or something like that.
So yeah, it's got like
So
the
it's like-
RPG element of
Yeah, exactly. And for the audio listeners, I know you can't see this, but
It does look.
I'm a huge Day of the Dead fan. Like, I just love that Mexican aesthetic. So like, I
Halloween.
love Guacamelee. And I love the beginning of Spectre, the James Bond movie, where is it Spectre or is it Skyfall, where he's
Hopefully
wearing
it's
the
Spectre,
mask?
because that's
Either way, it doesn't really
Maybe it
matter.
has such a
But
good song
I'm a
for it.
huge fan of that. And Rise of the Tomb, Shadow of the Tomb Raider takes place in South America. So right now they're in Mexico, what we're watching on screen. But right now I'm in Peru. So there's a Day of the Dead kind of festival thing happening right now, and you kind of walk around, and I'm like, this is fucking really dope, and I really, really enjoy it. So there is one thing that I will say negatively about the game is that the animations of Lara when you're moving, like in combat or just moving around and trying to like
like fighting people, or is it just like in general?
mostly
Control?
just in general in Control, she does this thing where it's almost as if she's moving too much.
Oh,
So like you
can't,
push
sneak.
push the analog stick just a little bit, and she moves way too much for what I'm trying to do. And maybe I'm just used to Spider-Man, but it just feels like she's so jittery almost.
Like she's ready to go, and then she's like skyrockets forward. There's no like
Yeah, there's
tiptoe.
no-
like, you can't like sneak. Obviously, is affected by this. I
Yes. So there's a if you press, I'm playing on PS4, so if you press circle or the B button on Xbox, she'll kind of scurry away. She'll do like this quick little, it's almost like a roll. But it's this harsh transition. So if she's like walking pretty slowly and then she presses it, it's so awkward that it almost feels like a like this animation hasn't been changed since 2013.
Like
And-
it's the original animation for the video game that
Yeah.
I just thought was
And it's kind of just one of those things where I'm like, I really wish that they kind of upgraded that. And actually, we've got a question this week from John Nguyen, who wrote in that says, so I started playing the new Tomb Raider over the weekend, and I put about 3 to 4 hours into it so far. So he's right around where I am, or he might be further. I don't know. But great game, smooth mechanics overall. But I have to admit that it plays just like the previous entry into the series with a different coat of paint. At least with the Arkham series, the mechanics improved and they expanded upon each game, but with Tomb Raider, overall, it looks stunning, but so far it doesn't feel all that new. My question, where do we draw the line from game developers essentially phoning it in for an easy paycheck? Is it fair for games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, sports games, FIFA,
never
2K
fair.
series to sell the same content year after year and still get such high ratings? Shouldn't their ratings change so that it simply rates against its former predecessors? So what it sounds like is John saying he would rather, or should new entries in the game just be rated against previous entries in the game or in the series?
I think here's where my Nintendo fanboyism would come. You get something like Ocarina of Time, then you get my great review, Majora's Mask.
Wow. Still working.
But mechanically, it's
Same.
it's roughly the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a cash. I mean, if it's giving you new content and the mechanics don't change, I don't think if it's, and they're both on the same system. They're both PS4 games, right?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is an
Same
exclusive,
console generation.
Yeah,
yes.
and it's like I'm okay with that. It's a sequel, and they build,
They built off of the
they built
previous-
off of it, and they built this engine or whatever, whatever you want to say about it. I think you do kind of get two games where you can say, oh, I'm going to do, we got this one, boom, and we're going to do another one in a couple years, and it's fine. I don't think of it, the cash cow thing. I don't get that.
You disagree.
I disagree with that.
So where I think I fall on this is where I'm okay with them using the same mechanics and engine. Like I was saying earlier, I kind of wish that they fix things.
Right.
And if I was to review the game, that would be reflected. It would be, okay, the mechanics do feel like a 5-year-old game. However, I will say, in this game, there is new stealth mechanics to this, which is, I think, is what they're kind of going for. So I did total media blackout on this. I knew where I was going to buy it. I love these games. So I didn't watch anything. But when you first start up the game, the start screen is this jungle landscape. And if you look closely, you can find Laura. She's somewhere there. She's hidden, but she's somewhere there. And then the next one where it's like choose which load file you want, it's like two mercenaries with guns like looking over a ledge, and you're like, what the hell's going on here? Like, they're obvious, but then in the bottom right hand corner there's Laura literally painted in mud up against a muddy wall. So if you look closely you can see her, but if you're not paying attention you don't even notice that she's there. And in the game you can do that. You can just, if there's vines and leaves on the wall, you can just be up against the wall and people will walk by and you can like stab them in the throat and pull them close to the wall. So it's not like you're just in the tall grass. It's incorporating lots of different things, which I thought, that's pretty new. I haven't ever seen that before. Like, I've never seen that in an Uncharted game. I've never seen that in any sort of game. You're just blending into the wall. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So I'm interested to see where, like, does Laura fall in mud, and then if she's
How
up
she
against,
does it, and
like, yeah, if she falls in mud, does that mean she can hide up against like a muddy bank and wait for people to walk by? Like, how's that
Can
camouflage
you just put
work?
the mud on the whole time?
Yeah,
Leave,
exactly. So very similar to like Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, where you can change your camo to match the area that you're in. I'm wondering if that's one of those things. As for developers cashing it in, sorry, I've got to pull up the email here.
Sure.
I don't think we really draw a line for game developers phoning it in for an easy paycheck. I think that
It's not like it comes out every year.
well, that's the thing,
Well-
right? Is that this is a new story.
I think, but you also reference like Madden and like that's the thing.
I'm gonna you talk about that. I was gonna get to that, but go ahead.
No, it's just like, so when you do something well, like
Mm-hmm.
when the God of War came out, and you get a good review, you want to do the same thing kind of again.
You want
Like
to
just-
strike while the iron's hot, right?
Yeah, and I can understand like story-wise, you want to continue something you've previously worked on. So if you make like a trilogy, I mean, there's a certain cutoff point. Like I said, Nintendo does it because you do get a different. I mean, you honestly do get a different Zelda almost every time. Like from like Wind Waker is not like Twilight Princess,
And Twilight Princess is not like Skyward Sword, and
so
then
Breath of the Wild. I mean, it's generally the same story. because you're stuck with that. But the mechanics are completely different.
To hammer your point, you don't want to lose sight of like
Yeah, there's a certain
video games in general, like how difficult, like you can't, or maybe everybody's gotten jaded. You can't expect that every sequel's gonna be, it's gonna shift it
completely.
Yeah.
completely. Like there's,
Well, you still keep
the reason
in-
why the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask thing's important is, or even Wind Waker and Twilight Princess is because, well, that shifted it. But Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask is a better example because it's
The same engine.
the same like it's the same exact thing, but it's telling a completely different story, which is what this seems like this game's doing.
Well, that's exactly like where I wanted to go with this, is that I think if you're using the same mechanics, and again, like I think that if the mechanics work, that's what's
Yes.
most important.
Right.
Yeah.
And like
So,
you
like,
if you gotta refine them.
Yeah, you look at Uncharted 2, and then you go to Uncharted 3.
Right.
Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3 are probably the same engine, and Uncharted 3 has slight changes, like this one does. Like this one has, so far, some slight changes. Nothing too crazy, but slight changes. I think
But they're also familiar, which is
Yes.
also beneficial.
But I think what is most important in these types of games are the narrative, right? So you play Uncharted 1 for the great pulp action, funny narrative, but
Action
you
hero.
have this solid third-person shooter. And that's exactly what this game is. It's a third-person action shooter. Or actually, this is probably more as like an adventure shooter, because you're doing lots of puzzles, you're going into a tomb, and there's no enemies there. You're literally just trying not to, one, fall into traps, and two, just solve these little puzzles. And I think that that's okay. I don't think that like you need to have this completely new game to make a new, like, you don't have to reinvent the game in order for it to be, or the series for a new game to be viable.
from like the ground up. You're not going to redo the engine and start fresh every time. I mean, it's kind of not. It's kind of not realistic.
And I can see where he's saying, like, he's going off of the Arkham series here, where Batman Arkham Asylum was stuck to this one island, and you had all of the mechanics. And number 2, they added a city, and I'm sure there's other things that I'm forgetting. And then in number 3, they added, like, car combat.
But those aren't, to me,
It's apples, oranges.
they're not mechanics.
What do you mean? Do you mean, like... Well,
It depends what he's referring to. Like, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City played
well, they all
the
play
same.
basically the same
same.
way.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It's like
That's because that's combat's reference.
it's the
I think
combat.
what
But he says mechanics. It's
I
like if
think
you want to
what
talk
he's-
about. Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
what he's saying, he's looking for something new. You know what I mean? Like, you can use the same engine, but he might be looking for something like a new thing to the game.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, like, when I referenced Arkham Knight introducing car combat, that's a whole new. Well, technically, it's new mechanics.
that was also-
but it's also
Right.
a new thing.
That's also looked at as a negative from a lot of people.
True, but at least they tried something, right? And I think that that's where John here is trying to like get his point across. And to an extent, you don't want to be playing the same thing
No, I mean you
over and over again. But I think that these are so far spread out that I think it's okay. And he brings up Call of Duty, Battlefield, and
That's
sports
where-
game. I think he has a very solid point there, where I think the Call of Duty that comes out every year and the Battlefield and the sports games, they are very much the same, but they're like, this year we've introduced new ball physics, or this year we introduced realistic cleats.
You can stop a bullet, motherfucker.
And
No, I'm just-
I'm like, okay, I get it. That's cool. And it is, John, you're absolutely right. I feel like those games are the same every year.
we
and
talked about it. A lot of this Madden can be solved with fucking DLC. It's a new. I mean, I understand the new characters you get in the NFL.
Well,
Like,
I-
you want it part, but like
But that could be done in DLC.
You
Correct.
get-
Or patches.
So that's actually funny. You have to actually kind of think about it. Would Madden make more money
just doing.
being a DLC every year?
No. Because more people,
60,
the
yeah.
same people buy it
Yeah.
year after year.
Yeah,
gonna
but to
grab
not
another
put them-
beer. Do you want anything?
Yep.
Do you want anything?
But to develop it, Maybe they don't have to develop
No,
it.
because if they come out with it every year,
They don't actually work on it, right?
until a new system comes out. They don't really. Have
No,
to
but you're right. But then think about that. How much do they have to put into it to do it? And you just go,
it's
yep,
fucking EA.
thank you. That I don't know, that they might have to just,
Start new.
no, just that, I don't know. I think they would make, they might make one way treating it as a subscription.
No, because but then it's like, how much do you charge for a subscription? Might work, but it's like, I guess if they're hitting on microtransactions now, how does Madden kind of do that?
Right.
Like, you win football games against other people and you gain coins, so you just buy them outright. Would they make more money that way?
I wouldn't want to give them any ideas, but
But
No, I know,
across
yeah.
their minds.
I don't know. I think it's got to cost them. I mean, I'm sure they've probably crunched the numbers then if they keep putting it out. But you just think, I guess. I mean, you're probably right, because if it's a $60 game,
You sell that's a
you
lot of money.
sell a bunch. But
Every year?
Madden should be probably a subscription game at this point. I don't know.
Well, what I
Man, I like getting it for $2 the year after. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, they could charge. I mean,
If
with the
they
people
charged-
that buy it, they could charge like $20.
yep, they
And-
absolutely could.
You know, maybe even slightly higher, and I bet you people would buy it.
Yeah, like a $30. Well, and that's one of those things where I feel like all sports games could do that, because I'm a huge NBA 2K fan. Like, I haven't bought in one since like 14
but
or
if you knew
15.
that you could only buy it, you bought it once, you wouldn't have to worry about.
Well, even I wouldn't mind buying. So I haven't bought in one in like 5 years, but I love the My Player stuff. That stuff's fun as hell. It's kind of like an RPG but basketball.
Right.
I'm like, all right, cool, I can do that. And
You don't have to do that every year.
but if next year they were like, hey, NBA 2K19 or 2K20 is going to be $30, I actually might dip my toe into that. If it's $60, there's not a chance. Not a chance in hell I'd pay for it. But if it was 30, I might be like, you know what? I had a lot of fun with those games when I was in, like, when I used to play them. Maybe I'll jump back in. And I think you're right. I think that if you bring the price down, you might be able to.
But wouldn't it just be easier to do it like your character carries over from each, and then they just keep updating it, and you pay the subscription type? I mean, that's kind of how.
I mean, I guess, but then you're not really getting any more content. It's just like, oh, here's another season. Here's another thing.
I mean, I like it to be free.
Well,
I mean, free DLC would kind of be where you go.
what is that? If candies and nuts were something and butts, I don't know. There's some sort of saying where
Candies
it's
and nuts,
Yeah,
balls
I
and
don't know.
butts.
candies and nuts, balls and butts.
I do not remember the saying.
I don't
know,
remember
I
that
do,
saying either.
but it is a saying.
But I do
I know
want
they're
to.
not going to do that, but yeah.
I do want to talk about, so with like I don't think I would count developers. I wouldn't make them reliable on something like this. Phoning in, like, I don't think this is phoned in whatsoever. But I think that like Maddens and FIFAs and
Call of Duties.
Call of Duties, they can be derivative. I think that they can be very similar.
Oh,
But
I think they're very phoned in.
I want to. I kind
I
of
don't
want
think
to
they
tie
give a
this
shit.
into. Well,
I mean, maybe the people that work on it
They may have
don't phone it in, but
like you feel like there's a disconnect between the pawns and the kings and queens.
yeah.
That's a great lyric right there. Anyways, I wanted to wrap this into Telltale Games actually laying off 250 people this week.
Holy
so that
shit.
yeah, that happened literally today. So a couple hours ago, Telltale Games laid off everybody but like 50 people in their studio. They canceled. So they announced The Wolf Among Us Season 2. They announced something else that got canceled, and they're literally in the middle of the final Walking Dead season
for the game.
for the whole. So there's been The Walking Dead Season 1, Season 2, The New Frontier, like a Michonne spinoff. There's been 4 seasons, and now this is the 5th and final one. They're halfway through it. They finished, I think, episode 2, and they just canned it. It's done.
Wow.
Right?
Holy shit.
So, I mean, I think
You figure with the layoffs, so you could still
you'd
finish it then.
I think with a skeleton crew of 50 people, I think that they're changing, like turning a new leaf, and they're just going to decide, you know what, we need to do something
Focus
different.
on something completely different.
Yeah, they're not going to do the narrative telltale stuff that they usually do. I think they're just going to focus on something completely different. But I've always been a huge proponent of, hey, Ubisoft, you can go ahead and make Assassin's Creed year after year. As long as that means we get Child of Light, as long as that means we get
It's been a running theme on the podcast.
Valiant Hearts, as long as we get Mario plus Rabbids, like EA, you can go ahead and make as much fucking money as you
Nothing good
want.
comes from EA though.
But if you make a great Star Wars narrative game
If.
like
Keyword.
1313 or hell, I love Battlefront 2's story. I love that campaign. Make more shit like that, and I'm totally fine with people buying Call of Duty every year. And again, like I'm not going to tell one person to not buy Call of Duty or Battlefield. Like Brandon, who's a recurring guest on the show, loves Assassin's Creed and he loves Battlefield. And every year he buys the same thing. He's going to be so fucking balls deep in Assassin's Creed Odyssey up until Red Dead Redemption. And then he's going to play the shit out of that. And then he's going to play the shit out of Battlefield. And it's like he plays those games every year, and I never tell him not to. I just tell him, Brandon, like I just have no interest in those games because, like those John Nguyen, those are almost very phoned in, where you have to vote with your wallet, right? So if you don't want Assassin's Creed to come out every year, if you don't want Madden to come out every year or FIFA, don't buy it. Hit them where it hurts.
I mean,
because-
Battlefront was the example of people's outrage from EA, and it definitely showed.
Yeah. Are you talking about
Battlefront, yeah,
Star Wars?
yeah,
Yeah, for
which
sure.
showed. Your only benefit of Ubisoft was like they do make other fantastic fucking.
Well, that's the thing, right? They make other things, and I'm okay with them doing
So
the
you just, like-
mundane cookie cutter bullshit as long as we're getting something new and refreshing.
But like I said, for EA, it wouldn't be. I don't think that's really the case.
No, I don't think so either.
They don't really have much. I mean, sports is where they make the biggest money, and then
I mean,
microtransactions.
that and Call of Duty are the biggest games. Well, Fortnite's the biggest game in the world right now, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, so like they don't really have that like studio market, and even what they did when they bought them, they destroy them. Like that's kind of the problem. Like you're thinking they're gonna do something fantastic.
Or you even get you get Titanfall. Like Titanfall is the
middle-
best game that they make, and it's the worst selling thing because they don't market it right.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, you saw a lot of companies be destroyed from EA not fucking wanting to put the money towards something.
Well, I mean, EA just kind of stinks in general. But sorry for that long
Yeah.
tirade and tangent.
Good question, thank you.
Good question. Thank you very much, John. If you guys have a question, you can send that over to Brian at pxlpts.com, and we'll answer it on air, just like we did with John's. Next and final piece of
It's fine.
piece of news.
Talking about not
Last-
throwing it in the original Tomb Raider.
Yeah. The last thing that we want to talk about is Sony PlayStation is coming out with a PlayStation Classic, phoning it in, if you will, and cashing in on the classic nostalgia that Nintendo has so wisely done.
How a lot of people have been. Have you seen all the other?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's bound to happen, right? And I think that with the PlayStation Classic, Nintendo's got to answer. They've got to retaliate with the 64, right?
I think
Yeah.
part of the announcement was getting ahead of an N64.
Oh, yeah.
I
for
bet you
sure.
because a company like that might hear, they might have more little info, might do a little more spying.
recon, if
Yeah.
you will. Because spying is such a negative word.
Such
recon,
a dirty word, yeah.
Recon, you're just gathering information, Steve.
A PI, if you will.
Yeah, a dick.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this comes from the PlayStation blog. Almost 25 years ago, the original PlayStation was introduced to the world. Yada, yada, yada. Today, we're excited to announce that we are bringing back the original PlayStation experience in a new miniaturized version, PlayStation Classic. The console will come preloaded with 20 classic titles, including fan favorites such as Final Fantasy VII, Jumping Flash, Ridge Racer Type 4, Tekken 3, and Wild Arms. So, The console is approximately 25% smaller. It is going to be $100 in the US, and I want to say it is 130 Canadian dollars. I don't know
Goddamn
what the
Canadians.
translation there is,
Getting
but
ripped
it's
off as well.
coming out on December 3rd, 2018. And so it is, each unit will come with an HDMI cable to connect to their TV, a USB cable, and 2 controllers for local multiplayer within compatible titles. Also, the AC adapter is sold separately.
Shit move.
Stop skimming us. We want the things needed to make the goddamn thing work.
Yeah, that's
Can't day one.
such a fucking cheap move.
Right now, I just got this brand new iPhone. We talked about this earlier.
You really like showing it off,
I
huh?
really like showing it off. There's only a lightning adapter here. There's no audio jack. Previously, they
Yeah.
boxed in an lightning to
Audio.
audio
3.5.
3.5
Yep.
millimeter, and it's a $9 dongle that's no longer included in the box. I spent a fuck ton of money on this, and I don't get that. Steve, I feel
The
less than a
outrage.
horse testicle right now.
Well, it was an
I'm
animated
not
horse
having a
testicle.
ball. Okay?
Wow.
Fair enough. You shouldn't be. Actually, that's an expensive phone.
Yeah, it is. But anyways, $100 for a PlayStation Classic? Do we find that expensive? Is that an
Well-
expensive price point for this?
Problem is, I don't know what the fuck the other games are.
Well, you don't know what the other games are, and we're going to get into that. But let's just
In
say
general,
it had your dream lineup. Is $100 worth it to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a dream lineup for PS1 because I never really played it. But I think that's
I'm going to start
it.
rifling off games, and you're going to be like, oh, shit, wait.
No, we're not.
But
we
they
were not
are-
a PlayStation family.
No, I know, but
I think that's going to be in line with what the N64 mini is going to be. So I don't think it's. I think they
I don't think
are
it's crazy. I
anticipating
think
that
it's
price.
$100 is reasonable. But you guys aren't really huge. Did you have a PlayStation 1
PS2 is where
where you
like,
joined in?
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends that I played PS1. We had an N64, but the majority of our friends also had a PS1. So.
Yeah. So,
For you?
for me, I think you need. So you already have Final Fantasy VII. I feel like that's an absolute must-have on this system.
I prefer 9.
Well,
but-
I also think 9 could be
Yeah.
included. But I think you need Final Fantasy Tactics on there.
I mean,
For the PS1, it's a seminal.
I thought that was announced.
No, but you need it, right? You need that.
well,
I could have sworn I saw that.
It's not.
it's-
The
Are
only
you
5
sure?
games are the ones I just read.
could be speculation.
Could be
Rumors.
speculation. Rumors, sources.
Yeah.
So I say Final Fantasy Tactics, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Got to have that on there.
But it's on. Actually,
It's-
it is an exclusive. Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, that you need to have Spyro, right?
Well, it's just weird because the trilogy comes out.
Soon.
Yeah.
Do you? I think Crash is the one you
Well,
want.
you definitely need Crash on there, Steve. You
original
need
Tomb
Crash.
Raider.
I think you also need the original Tomb Raider. You need Crash Team Racing.
Silent Hill would be fucking fantastic.
Silent Hill. You definitely need the original Resident Evil.
Metal Gear.
Maybe Metal Gear is for
Oh,
sure
the original Resident
got to be on there. Resident Evil, Resident Evil 1 and or 2.
2.
I would love 2 to be on there, but I think you got to do 1 and 2. If you're gonna
It's
do,
only 20. You gotta think though, like only 20.
You know what? Fair. I get rid of 1.
It's
Let's
kind of like
do 2.
it's kind of like why like there's 3 great final like 2 are better than the other one. It's like 7 is highly regarded. 9's actually pretty fucking good.
8 is
8's the weakest one. I'll give you that. But like, they're still great.
yeah. Do
So,
you
like,
like leave it off or do you add it? Like,
Do you put? But like you thinking you put 3, that leaves you with 17 others.
Mm-hmm.
And then even if you did 2, that's still 2 Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
And if you do tactics, does that count towards?
Yeah. I think and Wild Arms is also another JRPG.
RPG, yeah.
I think you need Vagrant Story on there.
Which is also a RPG.
It's more of like an action RPG, right? I think you get the.
It might be Vagrant Hearts. I'm thinking of.
I think you also should probably have. Why can't Legend of Mana on here?
Ooh.
I think you'd need
Oh, you know
Legend
which
of
one?
Mana.
What's Legacy of Kain?
You'd need Legacy of Kain. You need Medieval. Yep.
Siphon Filter was pretty good.
Siphon Filter,
Yeah.
1 or 2, both of those games would be great. And like that's the thing is that all of those older games on the PlayStation 1 are fucking tremendous. And if me buying one of these leads to a PS2 classic, forget about it.
Yeah, but like that selection,
Forget about it.
You could
That
never.
selection-
They wouldn't.
dude. Even a GameCube.
That's a
like,
pipe dream.
PS2 classic? You think so?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, you're never gonna get. You're gonna get some of the games you want, but you're never gonna get the games you want. And
There was
I
a
think
lot.
it's. I mean, I don't know what the timetable would be. If you're saying, oh, a year after this, not gonna. I don't think the hardware is powerful enough. But
To emulate PS2 games?
yeah, I think.
Well,
it
I
would
mean,
be
to
very
be fair,
tough.
though, a lot of PS2 games are on the PlayStation 4, so if I really wanted to go back and play those, you could buy them.
Well,
on
and
the
this
PS4.
is the argument. A lot of people. I remember.
It's like virtual console.
I saw a lot of stuff that just says just get a PS3 and you can fucking.
You could play
Okay,
all,
play.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like. I mean, I
actually
get why
have
you.
a PS3 that can play backwards.
And then
compatible games.
you have that, but.
PS2.
I saw that argument though, but I go, I don't.
It's
For
games.
somebody who, it's the same argument as saying, oh, just get an NES. It's like no one wants to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a convenient thing. Like I'm not
Not to mention you
gonna get
should
a
be
fucking
able to
PS3 and go out and buy fucking or
but
you
it's
know,
also
even
the games
buy
are
the
tougher to get.
PS2
or
games.
even
Yeah,
like
exactly.
just
That's kind of
you
the
know
benefit.
some of it's like what you can download them or whatever, and it's like no, fuck that. It's all on this like thing that looks
It's-
like a thing I have. And
It's
that
all of that. It's a
somebody has
it's a
nostalgia for
convenience
it,
thing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those. We want it.
That's
We remember
the
it.
point of these.
Can you
things.
imagine? You turn on the power button, right? And you hear that classic PlayStation
Right.
power on.
Do you need a memory card too?
No, there's no. You don't need a memory card, and the controllers are USB.
But
So you might be able to plug in a PS4 DualShock.
which would be awesome. But it's
be
also one
great.
of those things. Like I said, we weren't a PlayStation kind of family, so getting one in general would still be one of those things. Like we didn't actually. I don't even own half the games I kind of mentioned. I just happened to play some of them.
Right.
Like
they're tough
I
to
never
get.
owned a Super NES Classic. Or
Right.
sorry,
Super-
I owned
yeah.
2 classics. I've never owned the original.
You were a Genesis kid.
Well, I was a Genesis kid, but then I played all of the great games
Right.
on the Game Boy Advance because they ported so many of them. I don't know. I think $100 price point is great. I think that as long as the games are right, is really where it comes down to. Like, I'm sorry, but
It is tough to
This-
limit it to 20.
Where was
This-
the complaining about the price to me was what was the price you were going to put it at? You got the Super Nintendo Classic at $79.
it's like this is 99
It's
bucks.
been, well, it's been a $20 increase.
And it's a 20, yeah, and
They're just
I think they're
following the
looking,
mold.
they're following, and I think the fucking Nintendo N64 Mini or Classic or whatever the fuck you want to call it's going to be $100. You know, and you just, if that's the system you want, because of the controllers or this, just the games, then fine. But we don't. I guess the problem with the PS1 is you don't know what the game, like all the games. Nintendo would have just said, "Here's what's coming out on it," and Sony's trying to like be coy with it, which I think is
I think they
ridiculous.
haven't. I honestly think
you don't think they haven't?
They don't have a final line.
They don't have a final
That's why
line.
they haven't.
But I still
said
think
it.
some of those games, like you said, if you would try to buy some of those individually. it's
Oh
still-
yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, Final Fantasy.
I know
7
Wild Arms is probably
Wild Arms is very expensive.
correct. So it's like you're still getting.
And what's funny too is because you got they're putting Final Fantasy 7 on there, which is great for that system. But it's like, oh, Nintendo's got that remaster on the way.
Of what?
7.
No,
No,
that's the
that's-
original 7.
No.
Nintendo doesn't have that coming. That's a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One thing. I don't think that's a Nintendo remaster.
Wasn't that in the last? That was in the last direct.
No, they're getting Final Fantasy on.
No, they're getting Final Fantasy. It's a port.
It's a port.
It's not a remake. It's a port. Sorry.
It's the original Final
I
Fantasy.
see
No,
what
that's
you-
what
I
I'm
see
saying. But
what
isn't
you're
it like
saying,
it's
yeah.
a? But isn't
'Cause
it
it's
like a? It's just
No,
the
it's,
original.
It's just the PC port. It's the PC port.
But that's an like a
It's
it
a
was a remake.
slight- it's
Okay.
basically-
No,
yeah.
people will complain.
All right.
It's like getting the Chrono
No, I
Trigger.
got-
So
I see what you get.
I thought you were because there's a new one coming out. That's
Oh,
up. That's like
yeah.
a
Supposedly.
PlayStation 4. Yeah, that's never coming.
Well, that's that.
Yeah.
I actually don't think that's gonna. I mean,
Well,
the
people
way
are
that's
pretty
going.
angry.
Yeah,
We'll get that when we get Metroid Prime 4, I guess, right?
That's true. So the end of this year, Steve, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I got 4 months, 3
Yeah.
months.
And I
like
think
it.
with that was a pretty good, nice little condensed, a nice tight podcast. Would you say, Steve? God, Mike back there.
Yep. Always tight.
You always want it tight.
It's true.
That's true. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you guys like what you hear, please go over to youtube.com/pixelatedpoints and subscribe to us there, or go over to twitch.tv/pxlpts and subscribe to us there. Actually, do us a favor too. Go over to Grizz_is. Give him a like. Watch his Dauntless videos where
Iron Thistle.
Iron Thistle is meta. I don't understand anything that Gary says whatsoever, but he's doing his thing. He's grinding away. You should go check him out. Steve, do you have any other housekeeping items you want to talk about?
No.
Follow us on Twitter.
Questions.
Definitely follow us on Twitter. All that jazz. PXLPTS tangent_podcast. For myself, I'm at It's a Me BT. Anthony, you are
At Margin_Erebus.
God Mike back there.
At Steven_Sal.
And that's going to be it for another great episode of the Tangent Podcast. I know it was a little different, and I hope you enjoyed it. 'Cause
Let us know if you liked it, though.
yeah, let us know if you liked it. If you didn't like
Criticism would, praise would be good.
it, yeah, feedback.
vice
We need
versa.
something. Like, do you like the new format? Do you want us to go back to Under Your Thumb and Drunken News? Do you
Rants
want
and
us to
raves.
just
What do you
sprinkle
got?
things in? That's kind of what we did tonight. And you know what? I kind of enjoyed it. I felt like we kind of had
Actually-
some things were forced. I think we're just,
It's good. It's for the first time.
Yeah. There's a
Virgins at this.
Okay.
All right. And with that, that's going to be another great episode of the Tangent Podcast. We'll see you guys next week on
On the tangent.
The Tangent.